think we got up to 59 today, so can't complain. Last week, this time it was below 0 at night. So we get it all, but hopefully you're doing well wherever you are. Marlessa is joining us. We're going to talk about her trip in January and kind of compare some post-COVID and pre-COVID stuff and just talk Disney. So settle in, grab a Coke Zero or whatever you drink. And I think today's National Tortilla Chip Day. So get some chips and guac.
Every day is National Tortilla Chips Day, as far as I'm concerned. I always have some salsa and chips, right?
I have my Taco Bell, my chips and cheese with my meal, because I have to get that because that's what I snack on the way home and the Jeep. Well, I wait at the stoplights because there's 3 stoplights between my house and Taco Bell.
Oh yeah,
so I have something to chew on.
Yeah, and I know when you and Scott were talking, because I was just listening to the listener question episode on my run today, fastest run in a while, so very excited about that. But when you guys were talking about how like they would charge at like Coronado Springs for the tortillas and salsa, that drives me nuts. Like that's like my pet peeve at Mexican restaurants. Like sometimes they charge like $6-8, sometimes it's free. I feel like the guac I get, the queso I get, like Scott said, but come on, just give me some chips and salsa.
Yeah, that's the only place I've ever heard of them charging you for chips. Like, I mean, here they put them on the table as soon as you sit down. They don't ask. And the sauces, I can tear up. I mean, at Los Fuentes, we used to tip big there, because we had the same waitress all the time, and we loved her. So she, that was really all she did, and she was supporting a family. So we tipped her pretty well, but I probably ate my tip worth in chips and salsa there. I would just destroy that stuff because sometimes I would get there before Pam and I just wait, and sometimes she'd be late. So I'd be sitting there for like 30 minutes before we order, and I'll probably eat a bag of chips.
I can do that too. It's so good.
Terrible.
So good.
No, let's see. Ryan is waiting for our bus at Epcot, headed back to Key West. Oh my gosh. Best palm trees, Olivia's, you got it all. Golf course. Oh, I love that place. I miss it. Hey, Lonnie.
Palm Trees of Disney is really like I'm so proud that I inspired this wonderful, joyous Instagram account that Scott's been
awesome. And he hits it right in the morning, like right when I need it. It starts my day, like boom. It's always, I don't know how the algorithm works, but it's always the first picture I see on Instagram when I open it every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's perfect.
All right, let's do this. So 1857. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1857 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel, where we have been busy, and we like that. There is I think there's a pent-up demand to travel here in 2021 as things are starting to look a lot better over the past month or so, and we hope that we continue to, of course, take precautions, but also nothing wrong with being a little optimistic and making some plans to get to our favorite places and spend some time with those folks that we know and love and haven't been able to see too much over the past year. So good times are ahead. I really believe that, and I can see that with our guests. There's a lot of excitement for trips here this summer, even spring break, fall, and moving into 2022. So thank you so much for your support. Thanks for swinging by themagicforless.com, checking out all the specials and stuff. And when you book with us, it is sure appreciated. So I just wanted to let you know that right off the top of the show. But you're here for a trip report, and that's what we're going to do. And today we have a guest who you hear all the time on Sunday nights. We talk Disney, we talk running, and we talk Pluto TV, which is one of my favorite free apps because I can watch my Love Boat. You know her. I know her. We're heading to New York City. Marlessa is joining us. Marlessa, what's going on?
Hey, Mike. Happy to be here. Always love doing the trip reports and talking Disney with you, or Pluto TV, but it'll be probably mostly Disney today, but you never know how we can sneak in the Love Boat.
That's right. I think that you teased this in the pre-show before we actually started recording that, TV is kind of your field, and that's pretty exciting. It's kind of like me, like my field full time. I work in the Disney universe, which, 10 years ago, if you'd have said, that's what you're going to do full time, I'd be like, you're crazy. Like I love Disney, and that I get to, be associated with it and work in it. And you get to work in, media, which I find fascinating because especially over the past couple of years, just like in travel, media has transformed so quickly.
Oh yeah, it's such an exciting time for so many industries. I've loved TV film for my whole life, like kind of similarly to how I know your dad was in radio, and like that kind of got you into that. My dad is like a TV editor, producer, director, and so kind of got, I guess, inspired since childhood. And I've always loved classic TV, so to work directly in the industry is wonderful. It's really exciting. And I'm passionate about writing as well. So getting to kind of combine that, like, writing and marketing, but anchored in the TV industry is wonderful, and such an exciting time because we have all these streaming apps, Disney Plus, like all that stuff. That's my jam, talking about that and how it affects the consumer and the companies. Because we're seeing Disney, to anchor it to Disney, really leaning in on streaming, and there's a reason for that. There's that huge demand for it. So it's very exciting.
And talk about Disney, like the right time. Of course, theme parks were horribly hit over the past, 12 months, but they have to be thanking their lucky stars for the timing with Disney Plus, right? They hit that at the exact right time.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember even just reading Bob Iger's autobiography. He really was one of the CEOs across any company that really recognized the value of streaming. So that was one of his top priorities, and it really, really paid off. Mandalorian or, whatever else. But Disney is such an iconic brand that there are so many people that, even if you're like, you and I are big Star Wars fans, but even if you don't care about The Mandalorian or you don't care about WandaVision or whatever else, a lot of people are still going to care about those old classic Disney films or those or the older Marvel movies. So it's really all about the brand, and they're great with marketing. They're great with what they're doing with Disney Plus. I have my Grogu right over here, just hanging out on my desk. So yeah, I'm all in on Disney Plus, and I love what they're doing. I'm excited for some of the content that's coming. I know a few weeks ago you mentioned the sunrise at the different parks. I love that. Disney, you listen to this, more of that would be great. More of those types of things, like the sound boost would be great. Things like that are also awesome.
And they've talked about even now incorporating, the Society of I always SEA, the Adventurers Club folks, basically, in a new series based around the Walt Disney World theme parks, which is it's amazing because I think they, for the first time in a long time, are listening to the consumer, to the fan, and they're going after. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but the big Disney geek and something like that, because the general consumer who's going to go watch and try to find Little Mermaid or Soul or, Finding Nemo or something like that, they're probably not going to be like invested deep enough to get into something that has its core based in lore of the Disney theme parks, and especially just a Disney bar that was at Pleasure Island at one point. But I think it's a nod that, the super fans are out there, and there might be more of them than they initially thought.
Yeah. And also just, going back to the point of Disney World and Disneyland is that, Walt wanted parks for the whole family. But I always felt for years that they didn't lean in as much as they could to the adult Disney fans. So like there's more and more, for like our age group or a little older, a little younger, that are getting like those more nostalgic, like, oh, the 80s, the 90s style clothes and style movies, because we grew up with those. We love those. We want to wear clothes like them, or we want to buy merchandise. Like, obviously you want to do merch for the kids, but the adults, like, we love Disney too. And we are the ones paying for it at the end of the day, right? You got to cater to us too.
That's right. Pay for the folks that have the wallets. That's right. And all right, so we're gonna hop into your trip. But first, I want to send a shout out to Jen, who is going to save this one for the treadmill. Since I'm on the treadmill every morning, I get it. So keep going. Stay on that belt. Focus. Don't lose your focus, because they'll shoot you into the back wall. And all of our treadmill friends this time of year, you're killing it. So hopefully we're keeping you company here for a couple of miles on the belt. So anyhow, and one last thing about TV. I think of you every morning when I'm on the treadmill, because I do watch Buzzer Channel. This is what I watch in the morning when I run for the long run. And there's a show called What's My Line? No, not What's My Line. To Tell the Truth. And Alan Aldous on the panel every day. And I know you're a huge fan of Alan Aldous. So there you go. Right.
He's the best. I love Alan Alda. I could talk all day about him. I won't. I promise, listeners. I promise I'll talk about Disney. But he's great. Great on MASH. Great. I've met him a couple times. He's a lovely person. He's really into science. So yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he once did a Commodore 64 commercial, so he's cool in my book. So that was my jam back in the day. Anyway, that's just old, man. So let's talk about your trip. So we're gonna head out to and thanks for indulging us with 6 minutes of just kind of media talk. I love that stuff too. We all have our passions outside of the direct Disney vacation, but that's what we're going right now. So you were down in January, which this trip was supposed to be a marathon weekend trip, your first Run Disney event, correct? Is that kind of how this all first, before everything happened, got together?
Yes. So I've been a Beer Guest podcast lizard for like a few years, but I was more of a casual runner at first. Kind of just, once every few months, and then once every couple weeks. But then 2020, for better, for worse, with COVID is when I really got into like, okay, I want to be better with running, and just started running like the 3 times a week, the Jeff Galloway 10K training, and, really kind of fell in love with running for its like mental and emotional aspects as much as its physical. So while I had done a couple of the virtual Disney 5Ks, I had never done an in-person Run Disney race. And I was, as you know, Mike, so excited to register. Like I didn't dive into the marathon, just wanted to like kind of get my feet wet, do the 10K. So I registered for the 10K, January 2021, and I was really excited. I, knew, I guess I kind of had in the back of my head that, oh, maybe it'll get canceled, but I kept the faith all the way until that fateful day where you probably
you did, because you would always talk about it. You had more optimism than even I had, and I'm very optimistic. I became a realist in 2020 for a short time. So
I know there were times where I was like, am I more optimistic than Mike? Is that possible? Is that possible? But yeah, I mean, you probably you're in St. Louis. You probably heard my screams from New York City. I mean, I was crushed, right? I mean, there got to a point where I kind of saw it coming, but I did, I got crushed. But so yeah, I mean, the trip, it kept changing in a lot of ways, which is interesting. So at first, this was my first in-person Run Disney event, and also my first chance to meet and a lot of the lizards that I've gotten to be great friends with. Like I've gotten to be friends with some people over the years, but particularly in 2020, the combination of the call-in shows that you did that were wonderful, the Discord for the patrons, the lizard group. Also, there's some of us lizards that love film, and we talk via Zoom and watch films every week. Just like I really just truly felt like just because I hadn't met these people in person, like they were like family and great friends. But I was excited to meet them in person, do the standard contemporary resort meetup, and I was excited about that. But then it kind of, as the marathon weekend 2021 got canceled, inevitably there are people that, for reasons that I completely understand, ultimately canceled. I was sad, no particular order, but it was like Wade canceled and Joe Fike is canceled, and people kept canceling, but there were people that were still going. So I thought, okay, well, it's not going to be the weekend that I was planning for. It's not going to be my first in-person Disney race, but there's still some lizards going, and that ultimately still went, and that I did meet and got, and we can get to that like later in the recording. But I didn't really, in my case, I didn't really debate going or not because I don't know, I'm in New York City, as you know, and this time has been difficult for so many people for so many reasons. But one of the most difficult things for me has been just, all the downsides of living in New York City kind of came into fruition, right? I mean, we have a nice sized apartment by New York standards, but we, don't have a dishwasher, don't have a balcony, don't have a yard, etc. So being stuck in
how do you guys do that? That's crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Because I've lived in Missouri my whole time. I mean, like it comes with everything comes with a dishwasher and a yard and stuff. The storage rooms and stuff where you put all your junk that you don't need.
I've coined the term yard envy during this time. I've definitely we did like renew our lease for another year and reevaluate, but we've definitely thought about we would love like a dishwasher and a yard and all that stuff that is probably very obvious to most people that listen. Like, how could you? Yeah, I don't know how I live without a dishwasher is the truth, because washing dishes is not fun. But yeah, so it's very, very, very difficult, and I wasn't comfortable on public transit and all this stuff, and don't have a car either. That's the other thing that blowing your mind.
When you're 16 here, you get a junker that is barely a car. My car was $500. It was an old MGB that was older than me, but hey, it was wheels, and that was the best. I just can't imagine. But I know you guys have all the benefits of living in New York City. I mean, one of the greatest cities in the world.
Oh yeah, but those benefits, sadly, were kind of gone away. I mean, we have in normal times, my office is a few blocks from the Disney store, right in Times Square, and we have a pretty easy 20-minute subway commute. But if you're working from home, that nice commute doesn't really matter, and the restaurants were closed for a while, the museums and Broadway is shut down, etc. So, I just really, really just frankly wanted to go to Disney World. I missed it. I wanted to do it for my mental, emotional health of like going somewhere that I didn't feel that nervous about going, which I think it's hard to explain to anyone that's not listening to this podcast, because I think if I tell the average person, hey, I'm not that comfortable on the subway, but I have no problem flying to Disney World, that would sound crazy to me, but
Right.
to some people, but for me, it was, I had heard such great, things. Like I talked to like Scott a lot, or like listened to like what you said, and just people in general, like Alfred, who was like right outside New York City and has been very careful. So listening to everyone's positive experience, combined with the fact that I'm very familiar with Disney World and love it, that I really had that comfort level, like mentally about going. And also for me, the airplane and Disney in general, like I felt safe as I could, knowing that it's more of a controlled environment, right? Like I feel like going on a subway or a bus or a train, you kind of can't control who walks in or what with the mask. But on a plane, it's pretty easy, for them to make sure you're wearing a mask. And Disney World, as we all know, that have been there since they reopened, is great about, making sure you're wearing a mask, making sure you're staying 6 feet apart and all that. So yeah, I felt pretty good about going. Again, it was still sad to not be running the race. It was sad, like, like some of the people that were originally going, like, cause as we all are, like I'm like connected with some of the lizards on my Disney experience, and then I'm seeing like some things disappear, and then I'm saying to myself, well, Scott will definitely go, and then Scott disappears, like, no, Scott, no, and then you cancel, and again, like I understand why you guys cancel, like I get it, but it was still sad, but I'm still so glad that I got to see the people I did get to see, and wanted to make the most out of it, and it got to a point where I did kind of feel like I told the people that I told, like my boss is a Disney fan, so didn't really have to worry about that, of her not understanding. But like sometimes you have to, I think, especially in a time like this, like do what you need to do for your mental and emotional health, as much and in as safe a way as you can, like with going to Disney or whatever that may be.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the thing is, you can't really 100% win by traveling to Walt Disney World anytime right now, right? Because there's going to be people that think you're absolutely crazy, and there's people that will understand, because you're right. I mean, there's something to be said for mental health, and being cooped up for an entire year in a small apartment, medium-sized ranch house that we have here, it doesn't matter. You still want to be able to get back to those things that you work for. I mean, we all work very hard. We work long days and long weeks and long months and years, and we save that money. And, a lot of us use that money for vacations and great times. And I think those are all great points. And you're right. I think the key to this whole thing that's led it to being successful with getting to Walt Disney World right now is consistent enforcement, not only by the airlines and the travel industry, like TSA and then the airlines and everything in that whole, system, but also Walt Disney World themselves. They have a lot riding on it, so they have to be consistent, but they have been. We haven't, because we're in the day of social media, right? I mean, anything. And, that can be a double-edged sword, because this could have really burned Disney if they weren't so consistent on their enforcement. Because if you started seeing pictures of people walking around the Magic Kingdom without masks, that'd be like wildfire. Nobody go. They'd start, it'd be bad. But the thing is we're seeing people with masks having a good time, and everybody's coming back and saying I felt, safer there than I did at the grocery store, at least as safe. And so, at least we do have kind of an escape. Are things normal? No, things aren't normal, but hopefully they will be soon. So anyway, well, let's hop into the trip itself. So you go down in January, you stay at Pop Century. Give us a review of staying. What was the hotel like? What was the weather like? You were there the second weekend of January.
Yeah, so this was my first time at a Pop Century, and the reason booking this particular one was because like you and so many other lizards speak so highly of it as being a great marathon weekend resort, and I, as you know, love the Skyliner from my previous trip, so I definitely had that desire to like still be on the Skyliner. So I really I really enjoyed Pop. Definitely the rooms. It was nice being in a recently refurbished room. Like it had like the hardwood floors and the like Pluto above one bed and the Mickey details above another bed. So as a big Disney fan, I love those details. I remembered you mentioning how like that the edge of the bed can kind of like be a little like hard to get. So I was very wary of that.
It's a knee buster. No matter how much I try to avoid it, every trip it's a couple times, like in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh God. I'm trying not to scream because I just don't want to wake that whole end of the building up because it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very different type of resort from, contemporary or even like Port Orleans or Caribbean Beach because it is louder in the way that the Disney stuff is. But like, I love that. Like some people like that. I mean, I also love staying at, fancy or nice resorts too. But like Pop to me is like really nice. I'm really, into nostalgias, so all those little details of each decade is perfect for like someone like me to enjoy. I also really see why you love running around Hourglass Lake. When I did that, it was gorgeous. I mean, just that full loop around through Art of Animation, all those signs. I didn't like do a full marathon or anything, so I don't have those memorized or anything. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I honestly don't have any major downsides. I mean, because it is a value resort, the rooms are probably a little like thinner than I'd say a moderate or deluxe, but I always tend to have the WDW Today channel on, and my boyfriend kind of just deals with it because he knows I love it. Like Stacey wasn't on my TV for some reason, so if my complaint, I was like, "Where is Stacey? I need her." But I just have the WDW Today on, and so yeah, so really just enjoying the layout was great, really condensed. We lucked out where we paid for a regular room, but we ended up getting placed in a preferred room in the 60s, and requests of course aren't always guaranteed, but I did ask for a top floor because for me living in New York City, I it's very easy to hear the people that live above me. So for me, a vacation is I need to be on the top floor. Please, Disney, I beg of you, let me be on the top floor. So, and I was, so that was great.
That's good. I never thought about that, but that's funny. Yeah, because I just wherever I am, like if I'm on the top floor, great, it's a room with a view out the window. If I'm on the ground, hey, I don't go upset. Yeah, I don't. That's so funny because I don't even think about that. But I guess it would be a novelty if it was taller for me. But anyway, let me ask you this because I want to kind of make sure we get all this stuff in and kind of compartmentalize here. But as far as like the running, like I know that you haven't had an in-person Run Disney experience to kind of compare this to, but did you kind of feel a sense of camaraderie when you were out there? Like when did you run? When you ran around Hourglass Lake a little bit, did you, for your distance, I don't know if you did the whole 10K there or what's going on, but did you see other runners out there? Were people that had on, homemade bibs? Were people cheering each other on? I mean, was it just kind of just like a morning jog? What was it like?
Yeah, it was great. So Anthony Wade's in the chat. He and I were running at the same time and somehow missed each other. He and I still have no idea how that happened because I mean, I think like he was running so many laps that
he did 26 miles, I think, didn't he? I think he did, right? That's what he emailed me. He said, yeah, he did a whole marathon. I'm like, you are crazy. And this guy's a crazy guy, but yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, so he was probably going so fast that I was like an ant to him. So like I don't know how we missed each other, but we're both doing Pop for like what hopefully will be 2022. So Anthony will have to run together then. But yeah, I mean, as I was running around, there were so I didn't really get to run with fellow like lizards. Like there were some lizards that I met up with that were staying at Pop, but we just didn't run at the same time. Like Katie Wilhelm was there, the Livelies were there, but we didn't run at the same time. But I did see other people running. We were kind of cheering each other on, like keep going, yeah. And then I know separately, like Debbie Stevens was at Old Key West, but she was cheering on Lori, and I think Captain Mike was also running. So there was definitely that sense of like we're still going to try to run. Like obviously, I think the people that are used to doing the full dopey were more committed to wanting to do their X amount of miles in each day. Whereas I was like, hey, I've heard so many great things about Hourglass Lake and I need to run around Hourglass Lake. And I don't even remember how long I ran. I just kind of kept going and it was great. And it was great to see some, lizard shirts and gear around. It makes it easier, to spot some people like Debbie. I think most days had some sort of lizard thing. And I I love Debbie. I mean, I think we all like Debbie Stevens is
greatest. I was going to say that. I mean, if you want to have a teammate, Debbie Stevens. I mean, just a number one. You cannot top Debbie. She's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she like even before I had met her in person, she was just such a wonderful friend to me. Has like been there for me for like so many things. And then there, like we had so many days because a lot of the lizards had days coordinated because a lot of us kind of made our schedules based on what Joe had, plotted out, and we kind of kept it that way. But sometimes I'd see like the bright yellow from a distance, like Debbie, and then I mean, and hey, she's like a really great friend when she went on Splash Mountain with me, and then I get, I love Splash Mountain, and I get into it, I'll sing, so she's still friends with me, so that tells you something.
That's awesome. Okay, so now let's kind of transition away from the running so much because some people I hate running, which I was there 5 years ago. Give yourself time.
I get it. I hated it too.
Okay, so how about the parks? I mean, you were down there in January. It was going to be marathon weekend. It wasn't. So were crowds manageable? Like, did you go to all 4 parks? We can't go sequentially through everything you did, but what were some highlights in the theme parks, either with friends or maybe you had some solo time, or what'd you do?
Yeah, so hit all the parks, did Magic Kingdom twice. So I think I'm actually going to start with, this isn't like the order of the trip, but I definitely want to start with Animal Kingdom just because I love like Magic Kingdom. I always say is my favorite park, but Animal Kingdom, my Animal Kingdom days, whether with my boyfriend or even like as a kid, like years ago, always stick out in my mind as some of my best times at Disney, because I think there's still that sense that if you have, if your trip works out, we only have 3 park days, Animal Kingdom gets dropped. And I get that makes sense for some people.
That's always me every time. If there's sometimes I'll go to I'll be there for 5-6 days and won't go to Animal Kingdom. I know, hate mail.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But because I like my boyfriend, like Frank and I, like we spent the whole day at Animal Kingdom, and I should add, this was without going on Flight of Passage or Everest. And we didn't go on Flight of Passage because like, as you know, in some of the lizards, like I've been dealing with some like on and off like dizziness. And even before this, Flight of Passage got me a little motion sickness. So I just kind of decided I'm just going to skip it this time. And I love Everest. It's one of my favorite rides, but that was also, I was like, I don't know if it'll make me motion sickness, so just better be safe than sorry. So so what was great about this day was we did the safari, we did dinosaur, which then I realized, and Michelle, fellow lizard who I met up with, she also pointed out, like, well, if you're on a dinosaur, I'm sure Everest is fine. Like that's true. Dinosaur is very jerky, but we got to do some things that we, normally would kind of put off. Like Frank and I did the Maharaja Jungle Trek, which, that's pretty far back and it's very easy to miss. And that was really great. We also took the train to Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Nice. I haven't done that ever. It's been ages since I've done that.
It is so great. I can't speak highly enough of that. And in fact, if even one person listens to this and decides to go, I will have done my job well, because like we spent like 2 to 3 hours there, which sounds kind of crazy maybe, but I mean, it's so quiet. It's so back there. Like you forget you're in a theme park. The cast members, I mean, are great in general, but those cast members, they're so passionate about the animals. They answered so many questions, really talked us through like this animal is named Topanga, this animal. So all the animals are named after like 90s, 80s TV characters, which is also fun. And it's just so fun back there. And so, I mean, we did, like I said, we explored Pandora, had the pineapple cream cheese rolls, which are really good. Did dinosaur, did the safari, things like that. But I think just doing something out of the ordinary, that, taking the time to like take the train to Rafiki's Planet Watch was a little out of the way, like really stands out. And of course, we topped the day with one of the best ways to top the end of an Animal Kingdom day. We went to Sanaa. So we met up with listener like Beth, who is like lovely. And really good to meet up with her. And of course had, the bread service, and like Sanaa's great, in general. And it's nice, like when you're at Disney, cause I know like you, like if I'm at Disney and I'm getting like food pics from Scott or whoever, I'm like, oh, like where am I? But when you're there, you have to send the pics, right? Like you're like, hey, like here's my bread.
It's a requirement if you're a Disney fan. That's right. You got to torture everybody back home.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's the kind of people we are, right? But in the best way possible.
Everybody just wants to see this bread service. No, nobody wants to see it at home because they can't have it. But I'm still going to post it. Yeah, exactly, same thing. Totally.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I just think that like because Animal Kingdom definitely easily get a full day out of like without like even and I got a full day out of it without doing like the two biggest headliners, right? I mean, I think there's just so much to do, so many great details. And so yeah, if you're listening, don't skip Animal Kingdom, I guess, unless you really have to, but try not to because it's great.
I do, but then when I go there, I don't regret it. I have a good time. And I think too, one of the things, kind of going back to the first thing we talked about with, having to get outside and just start to, get some sunlight on our skin and, breathe some fresh air is that I think we're going to be more appreciative moving forward in 21 and 22 of the small things. Like we don't have to do every ride like we might have had to done in 2019. Like, like I said, the Maharaja Jungle Trek is all of a sudden amazing. Rafiki's Planet. The minor attractions are going to be fun because we're going to appreciate every experience. It doesn't have to be, like you said, Flight of Passage so much. It's just being there, having some good food, having a good afternoon with friends. I mean, that's a good tip. So give us some more highlights from the parks.
Yes, and Nomad Lounge. And now I promise I'll move on from Animal Kingdom. But
did you have their signature? The drink I always get when I go there is the Leaping Lizard. I mean, you got to have it. It's green.
I should have. I didn't. I don't remember what I got, and I think Frank got that, but I felt so bad. I was like, wait a minute, there's a lizard drink. Oh,
yeah, there is.
Got to go back. Excuse to go back. But yeah. So with Hollywood Studios, Rise is obviously one of the hottest questions that we get. Or you get, I don't know, I said we, but like maybe the people in chat are like,
we're all big family here. We all get it. Yeah.
All together. Yeah. So with Rise, we did get a group. We got actually the exact same boarding number we got last time, which is funny, like 82. And I know that it's always a common question, on the podcast and in the groups or online about like what's the trick. And I mean, personally, I think the trick is that there's no trick. You either like you can do everything right and not get it, or you can completely forget about it until 6:59 and get it. But I mean, in my case, like I had my phone, my boyfriend's phone, like open at 6:40, since 6:45. I had one on Wi-Fi, one on data, because there were so many mixed reports about what's better. And that like ever since it started being from 7 a.m. So, and I don't even remember which one we got in through. We got through 80. We got through group 82, worked out, and then like feverishly texting some of the other lizards like, did you get a group too? Did you? Like some people did, some people didn't. And I also think that among other things, moving the Rise groups to 7 a.m. has definitely made a big difference in the lines for the Skyliner. Because I remember like you and like so many other people saying that when it reopened and like between social distancing and everyone feeling they had to get to Hollywood Studios at 10 a.m. was like this mad rush. But on our Hollywood Studios day, it opened, the official park time was 9 a.m. But, we were hearing that it's like sometimes they were letting people in a half hour earlier or whatever. And we got a text from a Chris Lively, hey, like the Skyliner's running, let's go. So we hopped on the Skyliner, I think like 7:50 a.m., basically walked right into Hollywood Studios. So Frank and I and like Ray, the Livelies, a few other lizards were basically like lizards parading to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was my first time on that ride. And then, went to Galaxy's Edge, and we just, and Toy Story Mania, and just got so much done. And it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, wow, it's like before official time. Like we're so cool. But which is part of the reason why I'm a little sad that they officially announced that half-hour opening, because I kind of liked that it was like, if you know to go, you get to walk right on. And if you don't, it kind of like felt like you were in the in crowd of Disney, of just like knowing to maybe go a little earlier.
I'm with you. Yeah. It's like we want everybody to know. Not really. We want to have the secret, but
yeah.
So now, how was that day at the studios though? Because the thing is, your day kind of revolves around that boarding group, and when it's gonna, when it's your turn to kind of go back to Galaxy's Edge, get in the queue, you're always kind of monitoring it, so things are in flux. So how'd you handle that day?
So what's interesting for us is that our Rise groups always seems to in terms of when it gets called, seems to coincide with a different reservation.
Mhm.
So I guess if anyone's like listening and is worried about this, basically what I've been told both times, like one time it was I had a fast pass for Millennium Falcon around the same time. This time it was Oga's. Still ask the cast members, but I've always been told that do the thing that's not Rise first, because like Oga's, in the case of Oga's, like it's smaller. So they told me, hey, like, like we're like smaller, like just they come to us first, like Rise, like they'll still let you on, just show them like your proof that like this is your boarding group. Millennium Falcon was told a similar thing. So like that's what I've been told. Like I still double checked, even though I've been told that before. But yeah, so went to Oga's for our reservation about the same time that our boarding group was called, but had no problem, getting to the boarding group. Just said, hey, I had an Oga's reservation. Here's my proof that I really have an group 82, and no problem getting on. Thankfully, didn't break down or anything. And then we did end up, because we had like dinner reservations at Ale and Compass. And one thing that was fun was we did a lot of first time table service on this trip. So we kind of just headed back to the to Pop for a little bit and just like, enjoy the resort, which is always nice. And then, Ale and Compass is just Skyliner to Epcot and then nice walk over. So I think Hollywood Studios worked out. It definitely, because it's, I think, the most physically compact park, that was a little nervous about, like, how am I going to feel with crowds? And I felt like pretty good about, like, there are definitely points where, it feels a little like tighter. But again, like there is something, especially, living in New York City, like I have to like walk everywhere. Like if I have to go to Walgreens or something like that, I'm walking. So, and I can tell you that, it doesn't matter how old or young or man, woman, child, like there are people that don't wear their mask, right? But like at Disney, everyone's wearing their masks, and because everyone is definitely wearing their masks, combined with some of the social distancing guidelines, like I felt better than I might feel walking down like a more narrow street, where someone's coming my way without a mask.
Right. And you start to adapt to it too. After a few days down there, a couple days down there, it's just like, it's not as well. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself, but I don't leave the house a whole lot. I work from home. I have for the last 3 years. I run to Taco Bell, get dinner, drive through, I don't hardly go anywhere. So, having a mask on is a big deal for me because, I don't have a reason. I'm usually sitting here in the basement, but, when I was down there, I adapted. But I do remember one day I left in August and I got like a building and a half away from my room, and I realized, oh crap, I don't have on a mask. Like I felt like I was naked. Like, like I got to run back to the room because like, oh my God,
Exactly.
or something. But it's one of those things, like we're all learning, right? I mean, I just walked out of the room like I had done 500 times before at Walt Disney World. It's just that this was the 2020 version of my trip. And I was like, oh my God. I think I went to go get ice or something. I can't remember, soda, down at the food court. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a mask on. It was at night. Thank God nobody saw me. So it wasn't as bad as I pictured in my head. All right. So I want to make sure we get all this in. So give us like one more highlight from a theme park, and then we'll talk a little dining too, because you already mentioned Sanaa, which has my mouth watering, even though I've already eaten. But yeah, what else in the theme parks? Because we haven't talked Epcot or Magic Kingdom. So anything over there?
Yeah, so I think to sneak in like one or two details about each. So Epcot, like first time at the Festival of the Arts, so that was very enjoyable. I really enjoy like the 3D arts, and all those fun poses.
Awesome.
Didn't do too many rides. Like Frozen Ever After was actually down for most of the day, and I think Spaceship Earth was actually the only ride we did that day. So it was nice to kind of just enjoy the atmosphere of Epcot and like walking around. And of course, I always spend a lot of time in France. I always talk about how much I love France. So had to, always have to, spend time there. Can't wait for Ratatouille. Still sad that they didn't. I mean, like, I feel like they should have sensed that I'm such a fan of the pavilion. They should have grabbed me and be like, hey, do you want to ride Ratatouille before the public does? But
I'm shocked it's not open. I mean, I thought it would have been open by now. Once they start putting those bushes out there, that's usually a sign that it's getting like ready to go. But they're waiting for some big announcement.
Yeah. But for Magic Kingdom, so I mean, so with Pop, obviously the Skyliner is for Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and the buses are for the other two parks. But so the one day where I really was like, okay, I want to rope drop Magic Kingdom, I actually got, and obviously you don't like have to do this if you're not like me and you don't feel the need to like rope drop or anything, but the official park time was 8 a.m. So I was like, okay, if it's 8 a.m., I'm getting on a bus by like 6:30 a.m. because I learned by that point that they're letting us on early. So I walked right onto a bus. So, I mean, some people might be seeing photos of like, oh my God, long bus lines, and that does happen. But if you're, early bird gets the worm kind of thing, I mean, we walked right on at like 6:45. Did have to wait a little bit outside before they'd let us into Magic Kingdom, but got in by like 7:15, 7:20, and did something that I thought was impossible for the longest time. Walked onto Seven Dwarfs, because normally pre-COVID, I don't even attempt it. I go to Frontierland. I know you go right, I go left, because you and I have a lot in common, but this is where we differ. We go different ways for Magic Kingdom. But I don't even try to go to Fantasyland unless I have a fast pass for Seven Dwarfs. But this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. And I walked right on, and it was exciting. And then, as what was mentioned in the recent podcast, I did ride Splash Mountain at 8:30 at 40 degrees, windy. Yeah. And very cold, but was on it like 3 or 4 times. And I am, as a side note, like really hoping that, because I'm going down for the 50th and all that, like I do hope they restock the Splash Mountain merch. There's like nothing there and hasn't been for several months. And I mean, they're not even refurbing Splash for a year or two. So I don't understand why those eBay sellers had to do that as fast as they did, but I just want
eBay sellers. Don't even bring it up. I think they have. Who knows, right? I mean, who knows the merchandise? But I mean, it's a come on, Disney. You like making money, and you would sell it again. But again, you'd still be fighting the eBay sellers again. But maybe they got burned this time. I don't know. I heard that a lot of they bought it at real high. Went and tried to sell it, and I don't know. Yeah. I guess they probably made money. They're smart.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Magic Kingdom. So usually also I am someone pre-COVID who just powers through a full Magic Kingdom day. But this time I did, we took the afternoon break. It did, around that afternoon time, it did start to feel a little busy. But like, not that I felt like unsafe, but I was just like, oh, well, we did a lot like this morning, and we had a dinner reservation at the Wave, and definitely echo Ricky's sentiments recently about how great the Wave is. As a side note, like I'm a pescatarian, so I eat fish and vegetarian diet. I don't eat like red meat, but I basically told Frank, like, you have to get the bacon and eggs. Everyone talks about it. It's like the greatest appetizer. You have to. I've heard it'll change your life. It changed his life, I think. Like he like loved it. So it's and the service was great. I had the gnocchi that Ricky also had. And it's so good. And it's very quiet, very calm restaurant. And I love Cali Grill too, but obviously it's a little cheaper than Cali Grill. So it's a good mix of like having a nice walk to and from the Magic Kingdom, but also not as expensive as a place like Cali Grill.
Well, and I think that's a great tip in any day, post-COVID, pre-COVID, COVID times, whatever, is that on your Magic Kingdom day, it's always a great idea to get outside the park for a meal, because the Magic Kingdom on any day, it just gets overwhelmed. If you're not going to go back to your hotel, which I always go back to the hotel most days, but if not, I'll try to go have lunch at Captain Cook's at the Polynesian, or like you said, go to the Wave for dinner, do something. The Magic Kingdom's awesome, but it's constant stimulation. I mean, constant. There's always smells. There's always background music playing, which I love all these things. But, after 12 hours, it exhausts your brain, I think. And you just need to, step outside the park, sit down at a comfortable, at a darker, cool restaurant, and take a load off for an hour, and then go back, and you're kind of recharged. And it's like, it divides the day up, and then you got a second wind. I think if you tried, I know some people power through a Magic Kingdom day, from park opening to park closing. I've been there and tried that, and it's just not me. Like, because by 4 or 5 hours before park closing, I'm just like miserable. I'm just like, I'm not having fun anymore. Like, I'm just wore out. And I don't know, it's just me, but I like the idea that nearby resort to go have a meal and kind of just get out and come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also I do want to mention, like, we did do Disney Springs. I did get to try the infamous Gideon's cookie, but I did not do the 11-hour wait, which I don't like in New York City. Like people always want to wait for the new hotness. I don't really believe in waiting too long for food. That's just me. But I was determined to try it. So like on the first day, we went straight to Disney Springs after after arriving, and they were closed. I was like, no, Gideon's is closed. What's going on? And then like the angel, wonderful friend, she is like a day or two later, like Debbie texted me. She's like, Marlessa, I'm going to Gideon's. Do you need something? Would you like something? I was like, yes.
Good friend. That's done that for me a few times. Like I'm gonna be there. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. Give me something.
Yeah. So I'm hearing such great things about the cakes. I'm sad I didn't get to try the cakes. I didn't try the cookies. They are like a lot. I could never eat them in one sitting. I would like they're good and they're chocolatey. Maybe like I tend to be more of a cookie dough person over chocolate chip person. Like if I have to pick one, so because they're loaded with chocolate chips, they can feel like a lot. But yeah, I mean, another thing with Disney Springs that I do want to get in is that if someone's listening and they love sushi and love seafood, like Morimoto's like finally got over there, and it was
love that place,
the best
yes.
sushi, because I had been to Morimoto's his restaurant in Philadelphia years ago, because I grew up in Pennsylvania. But this is my first time there, and I think because like I eat sushi pretty often, so I was thinking, oh yeah, the sushi's good. But then I have that sushi's like melts on your mouth, like so good. And I got the I think it's called the Burry Bop, where he won one of the Iron Chef competitions, and they bring it out, and it's like at first it's like this raw egg and this raw fish, and they cook it there. They tell you the whole story. It's amazing. And then we were with like Ray Pilgrim and his family, and they got this whole like awesome sashimi platter. It was just like everything was wonderful.
Yeah, and Morimoto's too. I mean, if you've never been in there, it's gorgeous. Like it is just a beautiful restaurant. I know you guys have restaurants like that in New York City. I mean, we don't have anything on that scale, unless like maybe go. Well, I mean, I'm thinking like a casino. It's more gaudy. We have casinos on our rivers, but it's nothing like Morimoto's. Morimoto's is beautiful and it's got great food. Now, I've had sushi a few times. Again, my family doesn't eat fish. I'm the only one. So my extent of, you couldn't ask me about quality sushi. Like I get the sushi donut during the Flower Garden Festival in Japan. And I've had sushi a few times just here and there, so I wouldn't know. But I did have, because I was there for the media event when Morimoto's opened, and it was just all you could eat. They just laid it all out there, and it tasted really good, but it was free. I could just tell you that. Like I didn't know what I was eating. I just knew it was really, really good. And also they had like little chicken legs, little chicken wings. They were so good too, which I thought was kind of weird at a restaurant like that featured Asian cuisine. But oh god, I can't wait to get back. I haven't been back since. I need to go back.
Oh yeah, so good. I mean, I think I speak for most of us when like you leave a Disney trip and there's like a certain food or beverage that you are really, really thinking of. Like the pina colada drink is something I really like, but that Morimoto sushi roll was definitely something in the Burry Bop that I just like kept thinking of. So good. Like I can't wait to go back. Like I'm already trying to think like, well, I'm only down for a few days for the 50th. Can I sneak over to Disney Springs and just get the sushi roll? I was trying to sneak over like on my last day to head back, but yeah, so just so good.
Well, Morimoto's does have that. Well, I don't know if it was open now because things are so different, but they have that little takeout window on the side over there under normal circumstances where you can just grab something and go.
Yeah,
it's kind of over by the homecoming side, and that could be enough. I don't know if they gave you the fancy. Sounds like you got the fancy sushi. I don't know if they do all that at the window, but yeah, it'd be cool. It's pretty cool. Rhonda Lee's with you though. She says she dreams of the Burry Bop, which I don't even know what a Burry Bop is, but it just sounds cool. It's you described it, but
yeah, I'll send you a picture. It's like they bring it. I also took a video of them cooking it, so I'll send you that too. Like it's so good. Like they bring it out. It's like the raw egg, the raw fish, and then they cook it right in front of you. They have a whole and actually, as the waitress brings it over, she asked me like, "Have you done this before?" And I was like, "Oh wow, it's like a whole process. It's fancy." It's like, no, I haven't done this before.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. I got to try it. I'm told, because I'm all about like the, tepanito, like where they cook and they make jokes and all. Yeah, I'm that's my jive. So yeah, I'll have to give that a shot sometime. So that's on that's why I love this show. Every time I do one of these Monday shows, I learn something that's going to make my next trip better. So, well, hey, we're running a little tight. So let me ask you this kind of to wrap it up. Were there any surprises or anything when you got back on the plane to head back to New York City, like regrets or something that was a surprise favorite, or what was the, looking back now a couple months later, what do you recall from the trip? Like what's going to stand out because this is a trip under, very unusual circumstances. Hopefully this is something that 10 years from now, I'll be like, God, that was a weird time to be at Walt Disney World. But what sticks out right now about the trip? Something maybe surprised you or something like that.
So one thing is definitely that, and I don't know if this is just because like I went in January versus going in July when they like just reopened and just or whatever, but the transportation actually went much smoother than I kind of expected, because I had heard so many stories again, like of how, again, like your story of like the really long line for the Skyliner from Pop, or like I've seen crazy lines for the bus, which I get. So like I kind of went down expecting that, okay, because everyone is spread out, but I didn't have any issues. I mean, again, like part of that and the caveat is that I did, get to most of the parks pretty early for rope drop or a little before that, but I didn't like really have any issues. And I actually like with that, like I actually like I understand, like I know like you said before that like you enjoy like that like hustle and bustle of Disney, and like I agree that's definitely a part of it, but I actually like weirdly like really enjoyed like those like 6-foot like space markers.
Yeah.
I like
I'm with those too. I'm all about that. Nobody has to be up on my shoulder. I'm standing in line for Space Mountain. I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I don't need to be on top of me all the time.
like I went home wishing like, can we have these everywhere? Like I don't mind. Like I don't mind. Like you tell me where to sit on the bus, on the subway, whatever. Like just space me out so I don't have to think about it and stress about it. But definitely just like so yeah. So that's definitely like was like a positive thing. For the fast pass, I do want to comment because I know this has been a very contentious debate of like,
yeah, because Ricky's wrong. Okay, but go ahead.
Yes, and Wade is also anti fast pass.
Yeah, I love Wade. Yeah,
we love. I love Wade and I love Ricky. They're like two of my favorite people, but like I understand the science behind it. Like I understand the science of like the passes, but for me, like like I'm in marketing, like within the TV industry, like so for me, it's all about the like, hey, you're guaranteeing a guest. Yes. 3 premier experiences, and the average guest, is not like us. Like the most of the guests that they're trying to appeal to are the like once in a lifetime. So they say. I mean, they could end up coming 10 more times, but the once in a lifetime. Oh my God, I have to take my 5-year-old kid on Splash Mountain, on this, on that. But oh no, Wade's listening. He knows, he sensed it. But
stay. That's how we make sure you stay till the end of the show. We will call you out if you don't listen.
Yeah. So I think it's just that like I didn't hate the no fast passes as much as I thought I would, but I also just had it in my head that I was also there at like 30% capacity, and I don't think I would enjoy it if it was like no fast passes and 90% capacity. And I do think a lot of it depends on, again, like your traveling style. Like if you're going for the first time, I think that marketing sell of, hey, no matter what happens, no matter if you have really long lines all day and whatever, like you're getting these 3 attractions. Like I think there's a great appeal to that. Like I just can't overstate that enough, like what a great marketing sell that is. But also like for someone like me that's a planner, like I don't really mind planning my day around, like I get there early for the first hour or 2. I do whatever I want. If I want to do one land, if I want to zigzag, then I do 10, 11, 12. I kind of think it's fun to play the fast pass game in a way, like, oh my God, I'm in line, like what can I get? Like I don't mind it. I also, and I think it's because like for someone like me, like I'm a planner, but I also can go with the flow in the sense that if I don't ride Space Mountain or whatever, like it's not going to ruin my trip. Like, you know what I mean? So if I have 3 fast passes on a Magic Kingdom day and it's, let's say, Splash, Dwarves, and Big Thunder, and then I think to myself, okay, I'll try to ride Space. But if the line for Space is 50 minutes, like I'm just probably won't do it. Like maybe during this time, Space was actually down during my whole trip, Mike. So that was its own issue.
But, you know what? Your back thanks you. Your back.
It does. But Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they'll do with some version of Fast Pass in the future, because like I think there are just like certain things for like certain people, like the dining plan's not really for me. Like I'd rather just kind of pay out of pocket and not feel like I have to get X amount of snacks or whatever. But there are people that love the dining plan. I mean, I feel for all the travel agents as soon as free dining's announced, like every year. Like
it's not going to be free. Now, ho ho ho. We need to ease our way back into things. Don't use my heart to skip it.
I'm sorry.
Right now.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike. Don't mean to give you a hard time.
But it's been a rough year, man. Don't do that to me.
But yeah, I don't want just because I don't like the dining plan. I don't want the dining plan to go away. But I think, I don't know, I kind of think that I know some people maybe won't change their opinion one way or the other, but I think let's just see, there's still value to Fast Pass, right? And I think we have to see, as capacity goes up, how that works out. Are they going to keep some of the marker? I would love the plexiglass in the lines, not the rides, the lines to kind of stay forever, because I don't need someone leaning over me or anything like that. I'm fine with that. So how are they going to adjust the queues? I'm excited to see how that works out.
So it makes me feel like I'm playing hockey. I just want to bang on it because I'm a former hockey player. And so when you see glass on the rink, you just want to and hit it. But they discourage that. And so before we get out of here, though, Scott has the final word here in the live chat. And he's got the perfect comment, because it could be, it says no more Fast Pass, please. That could be no more Fast Pass, please. He doesn't want Fast Passes, or with, I guess, a comma could be no.
Yeah.
Fast Passes, please. You could go either way on this one.
I was gonna say something. I was gonna tease Scott too, and I mean we're all friends here, but so I was because I'm such a big grammar person, so I'm is he? It's almost like he wants to be on both sides, right? He wants to be on Team Wade, he wants to be on Team Mike and Marlessa about the Fast Passes, because we can take it either way we want.
Yeah, I've been studying that for 5 minutes. Where does he fall? I can't remember. Anyway, so no, it's a great discussion, great trip in January. And as always, we love it when you call in on Sunday nights and have the conversations with us. You always kept us informed with you and Alfred with what was going on in New York City earlier in the year, which, oh gosh, that was last year now, in April and May when things were so bad out there. And, that's why I love this podcast. We get to call in, we get to talk together, every Sunday night we get together now. So, thanks for being a part of that. And thanks for everything you do for the Lizards and for the podcast community. It's been great talking to you, Marlessa.
Yeah, thank you so much. I always love the podcast, love the Lizards, but, particularly this past year, all those shows, I've said this to you before, it just really, really made a huge difference, in bringing this community, together more. And also just, being able to talk together about Disney or about whatever, about what we're having for dinner, all that stuff. That's what this community is all about. It's and I wrote this really cheesy, but I meant every word, post when I came back, of how, there, and I just want to, wrap up with this, that there are so many communities out there, whether you're back in college or high school, it's a club, or as an adult or work, that, present themselves welcoming, inclusive, but a lot of the times that's not the case. Whereas with the Lizards and the Be Our Guest podcast community, it really is that way. And I joked with Debbie a few times. I was when I joined the Lizards, I was all right, what's the catch here? There has to be some drama. There has to be some bad egg here, whatever. But no, everyone is so great. I, even though I'd gotten to be friends with the people, virtually, I being with everyone in person, you'd have thought I knew them in person for years. Right. And I just, that's very rare and wonderful to find. So I'm really, really grateful for this community.
No, we've just been super lucky. The folks that all get together, we have this love of Disney, but we love each other, right? We want to make sure that we're all taken care of. Either, it doesn't have to be about a Disney trip. We've had so many folks that have reached out and helped with, personal things that have come up in our lives, and just a friend that's been there for 20 years, even though we've known each other for a year. So couldn't agree more. We're very lucky. And I'm so, I'm glad we get to do this 3 times a week, 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. It's just, it's a blessing to me. So Marlessa, have a great week, and, keep the hustle and bustle up there in New York City, and I'll keep my backyard here in the Midwest.
Yeah, so we'll trade one day. We'll be the city mouse, country mouse kind of.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, we're going to get out of here. Don't forget, today's show always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Of course, we're well into booking 2022 packages at this point, for the first half of the year at least. So if you want to get that trip for next year on the books, and that's a great idea, you can even make those theme park reservations right now for even next July. just drop by the magicforless.com. We're also booking a lot of folks that have decided, you know what? I don't want to look at these four walls anymore. They're heading down to Walt Disney World for spring break. We can do last minute trips. I've been doing a lot of those lately, for April and May. And there's still, theme park reservations, there's dining reservations, there's good times to be had. So anytime you want to travel, just drop by the Magic for Less, fill out that quote form. Mention the Be Our Guest podcast. It comes right to be, and you and I will be planning a great vacation. So check them out today again over at the magicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link anytime, hey, when you're stuck inside, what are you going to do? You're going to shop online, and you're probably going to shop from Amazon. So just go to Amazon or beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. It's one extra click, a free way to support the show. We appreciate that so much. And thanks to our patrons. We appreciate that. Marlessa is one of those over there. We have a good time on the Discord talking Disney all the time. And, Mike in the Midwest every Thursday. Don't know how valuable that is, but I try my best with fun stories and so forth. So if you'd like to support the podcast over there, just visit patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Also, don't forget, we're on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow. Love talking to you at Be Our Guest Mike. And of course, Be Our Guest Pod as well. Subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll get the notification every time we go live. And join us this and every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook and YouTube. We take your calls. It's the Scott, Mike, and You Show, or the Mike, Scott, and You Show, or You, Scott, and Mike Show. However you want to do it. Doesn't really matter. We're all together. So have a good time this Sunday night. Join us. Give us a call. We'll have a fun time talking Disney. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. So for Marlessa, I'm Mike. Wishing you a great Monday, but it's time to get back to work, and we'll see you real soon. That was a good one. Good. Almost 35 minutes, but it'll work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, it's funny how you think we're gonna just do 35.
I know. No, that was perfect. That was great. Yeah, let me save this before I lose it. 8, 5, 7. Always paranoid I'll lose the show.
Yeah.
There goes. No, that was fun. That was a good time, especially how we got to call it Wade.
Yeah, anytime we can call it Wade and Scott. I mean. Yeah, they're like
Debbie's awesome. And as soon as we talked about Debbie popped in.
That was great. Like, I mean, it's some of my favorite people just like popping up in the chat.
I love you guys. This is so fun.
Yeah.
So
great.
not much of a hockey team lose because everybody I watch lately loses.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like with the Lizards, like I've said this before, but like you'll never travel alone. In addition to that.
Oh no, you don't. I've learned that. There's been times I've been down there. I thought I was by myself, and here, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Like, yeah, like I had like multiple times, like even when people I didn't know I had a park day with, I got like a text or hey, look to your left. Like, hey, how are you?
It's totally nuts. All right, Marlessa, thanks so much for taking the time. Hopefully we'll hear from you Sunday night.
Yeah.
Just give us a holler. All right. Take care. Good talking to you.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Right. Night, I'll see you, Beth. You're late. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Beth.